Hello and welcome as we continue these mini Bible studies, journeying toward the 9th Sunday after the Pentecost, July the 25th, 2021. The summer's more than half over, the year is more than half over. It's hard to believe how quickly things seem to be moving. Today we will look at Psalm number 145, verses 10 through 18. So let me read for you the psalm and then share with you some of the reflections that I've gathered for today. All your works shall praise you, O Lord, and your faithful ones shall bless you. They shall tell of the glory of your kingdom and speak of your power, that all people may know of your power and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. Your dominion endures throughout all ages. You, Lord, are faithful in all your words and loving in all your works. The Lord upholds all those who fall and lifts up those who are bowed down. The eyes of all wait upon you, O Lord, and you give them their food in due season. You open wide your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. You are righteous in all your ways and loving in all your works. You are near to all who call upon you, to all who call upon you faithfully. Here ends the psalm. Thanks be to God. Psalm 145, the entire psalm in total, has a subscription in the Bible of being a psalm of praise for the greatness and goodness of God. The Talmud, which is the Jewish civil and ceremonial law, states that everyone who repeats this psalm of praise 3 times a day may be sure that he or she is a child of the world to come. 3 times a day. Huh? Psalm 145 invites the believer to praise God in ways that acknowledge God's exclusive rule over the cosmos and God's unique care for those who seek out God. And this is especially true in today's portion of Psalm 145. Psalm 145, the entire thing, is an acrostic poem, meaning that each verse begins with the successive letters of the Hebrew alphabet, beginning with the first and going through the last. Acrostics are used to help people memorize poems more easily. And verse 1 begins Psalm 145 in the first person singular. And then verse 10 moves to the individual speaking on behalf of all of creation, all of the cosmos, making this psalm even more comprehensive in its scope of praising God. Not just people, but all of the cosmos praises God. The message, if not the messengers themselves, include all who turn to God. The only criterion for being included in the faithful is a need recognized and expressed to God, often in praise. Psalm 145, it's annotated as the last psalm ascribed to King David in the book of Psalms. The concluding psalms after this one are considered a doxology. So Psalm 145 may be considered the last word of King David in the book of the Psalms. And King David's last word is full of praise to God, who is over all of the cosmos, over all of creation. And David instructs the faithful to place their hope in a heavenly king rather than a mortal king, or in today's vernacular, we may think more of a president than a king. Verse 14 likely sums up God's unique concern for the lowly and the connection to other readings for this coming Sunday. Verse 14 reads, "The Lord upholds all those who fall and lifts up those who are bowed down." This is a strong feature of God's character, and it also presents an understanding of God's grace available through dependence and faith. God looks for those who are open to divine direction and divine help, not those who want to go their own way and do their own thing. Faithfulness is therefore defined primarily by dependence on God. Now, this does not mean we do nothing and let God do it all by God's self. It means the first step in doing something is talking with God about the need. Whatever the need is, whatever the situation is, no matter how large, no matter how small, talking to God is the first step in taking action. As we talked about in the Bible study for Sunday's first reading, 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 42 through 44, the miracles attributed to Elisha in chapter 4 were not from Elisha at all. Rather, they became possible because Elisha was a man of God who brought situations before the Lord and followed God's directions, Yahweh's directions, regardless of how impossible they may have sounded, like feeding a large crowd with a small amount of food. People of God, not being gender specific, like man of God, people of God are those who come to God for life directions. Now, there are people these days who make their living by being called a life coach. We might attribute that same title to God, only on a much broader scale. People of God are involved in a life-giving relationship with a God who is great beyond measure and intimately concerned with the well-being of people in whatever circumstances they may find themselves. All of creation is an act of God's grace. All that is sustained in the moments of life is an act of God's abiding presence. There is great hope in these verses on which to cling during the difficult times and in the difficult places of life. God is eternal, and so is God's grace for all of creation. Thank you for joining me here again today as we journey toward the 9th Sunday after Pentecost, July the 25th, 2021. If you have a thought or a concern or question to share, please do so in the comment section below this video. And I hope you're having a great day. Take care, and God bless.